In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Metal Deformation F-12 MPM-KO Starscream, a repainted revision of the original MPM. This has a couple of new refinements, and it really stands out from the original release. So by all means, let's go ahead and take a look. What's up, Alfonso Nation? Alfonso Peterman here today. Welcome one and welcome all to another episode of Teletraan Reviews. In this video, we've got a really nice figure to look at, and before we get started though, I do want to give a big shout out and a major thank you to a new sponsor of the channel. Big shout out to Icon Store for sponsoring this video. If you guys don't know who they are a France-based company, and they have a lot of different options to choose from for different genres, different brands or companies of the third-party Transformers, from Alien Attack to Big Firebird toys, Black Mamba, Boombox, Devil Savior, DNA design kits. They've got fans toys, they've got Hasbro stuff as well, Takara Tomy 3A30, AOA Mech. I mean, they've got G Creation, you name it. They've got a lot of different brands on there that you can actually shop from. So if you're unfamiliar with the site, go ahead and click the link in the description box below, and you can get this figure and others on their website. Well guys, this is the moment. This is the time we get to actually unveil something that has been a long time coming. A lot of people have been talking about the KO version of the MPM release of Starscream. A lot of people have been wanting this guy. As soon as he's been announced and all the pictures started to circulate, people have been wanting to get this guy because of how great he looks in comparison to the original Hasbro MPM. Without further ado, we're just going to get right into the review and just take a look at the packaging real quick. So for the packaging, there's a very clear white box. You've got him in his alt mode, as you see there, and he is named Metal Deformation. You got Metal Deformation there on the top, and I'm sure it's on the bottom. You've got F-12 instead of Metal Deformation, and then you've got the same branding on the sides, and then you turn it around back, it's the same exact image of the jet, except you've got the F-12 instead of Metal Deformation. That's all you've really got, is a very plain box. There's no like character art, just kind of a sketch of the alt mode. But that's pretty much all for the packaging. Pretty simple, pretty minimal, but I like it. It gets the job done. And the main event is inside of the packaging anyway. So by all means, let's just go ahead and get the figure out and see what we're working with. And here we have the MPM-KO Starscream out of the packaging. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is a masterful remake, repaint. Of course, it's the same mold from what I've seen, but I mean, the painting is just a clear and present improvement. I personally saw the images, and I actually thought he would be a lot brighter than he looks in person. I thought he would have like a lighter paint overall. But when I got him in person, he's more darker, more gunmetal, more dark grays. It's really showing off that dark vibe. And if you look back at the 2007 film, the original film, you see that he is a little darker than what the original MPM actually painted him to look like. So this is a more accurate representation of what he looked like in the 2007 installment. And I am literally just in love with this figure. I'm in love with what they've done, and this is the kind of thing that I really prefer. I prefer something like this, masterpiece scale, got the same details, same engineering, but the painting is where it needs to be to make the figure pop out and stand out. So taking a closer look, here we go. We've got MPM-KO Starscream. You've got beautiful silver painting all on the head there. You've got nice, kind of like a gradient. You got the darker grays there, and then you got the lighter grays there, and then it kind of does the same thing all around, consistent all the way. You've got nice red, like striped painting that it shows for the little wirings on the actual forearm. You flip it around, and they have the same thing on the actual like under the forearm. Turning to the chest, I mean, look at this. You've got nice silver paintings here, nice little gold brushing here for the little gold parts, and you've got some darker paints. I'm seeing a lot of gradients, and I'm seeing a lot of the combination of the same types of painting, trying to keep the whole figure consistent with the original design. Taking a look at that head sculpt, I mean, the sculpt is pretty much the same, but as you can see, the painting on the head they really did a good job. It's all like this kind of like metallic silver, and there's like gold little details in there, and then you get closer and you got like little purple detailings in the face, gold detailings all in the middle of the face there, and it's all symmetrical. It really shows all around. You got some more gradients. You can see the darker brush, and then it kind of, you know, fades into the bright. I like that fade a lot. That really makes all the difference. Coming down to the legs, you've got really nice consistent painting with like the darker and the brighter grays kind of mixing into each other, and that nice die-cast feel on the feet, just like the original MPM, but except this time it's painted differently. You know what? I'll just say that the whole thing was painted completely differently. We're gonna turn it around to the back, and I mean, just oh my goodness. Now these are really nicely painted. You got really nice chrome on there, and then he added that blue touch on the tip there, a nice golden ring. I mean, just all the detailing is really nice. And one of the things that I have actually said was like a downside for the original MPM was this piece here. This piece here would actually remain like this for those who've seen the MPM STARSCREAM reviews, or for those who have them. You know, you kind of just have this piece like sticking out, this giant square, and it doesn't really look like it folds into the design very well. Well, this actually now can fold up on the KO version. So I mean, it doesn't like completely remove it, but it like folding it up makes it look more intentional, like it's part of the back and it's not sticking out from the back. It actually makes a difference, and you can actually move it forward if you'd like, but that's about as far as you can go. That also doesn't look bad at all. I mean, it's a very small adjustment, but it makes a difference. It kind of makes it fold in a lot better. Another thing I want to say about this figure that I noticed when I got him is that he has very stiff joints. He is very stiff. The joints are not going anywhere. The joints are not going anywhere. Especially these two joints here, these leg joints for the articulation. One of the drawbacks I felt for the original MPM was these were not able to really hold that chicken leg sort of pose that he would normally do to kind of accommodate to some of the posing. This completely fixes that. At least my model does. I don't know if every single KO figure will be like that, but I know mine was. And I love how stable he is. He's not even fully standing. He's like kind of leaning forward right now. But as you can see, he's leaning forward, but he's not falling. Like, he is very stable. The joints are very tight. He is not going anywhere. And just like the robot mode is a complete and total improvement, I will have to say the accessories that he comes with is no exception. We've got beautiful accessories. Look at this thing. This is the saw weapon, as we previously seen with the original release, but as you can see, a lot of the consistent painting schemes have been considered for this piece here. So you got the same as with his main robot design, but you've got way more different coloring and detailing. Of course, you got the gold there, a little red, got the gold trim on the ring here. A lot better night and day comparison from the original release. Just attention to detail really goes a long way, and then you really get to see it with this. And then of course, this also is very stiff. I mean, this also has been tightened, so it just won't even go down. If I grab the original one to show you, you see what I mean? It's not gonna, you know, this has been stiffened, and this has been improved to hold its pose. And yeah, this is kind of to show you what the difference is. Look at the difference of what we originally got with the Hasbro version and what the KO version has. Of course, it looks like it's the same detailing in terms of the sculpt, the mode. Yeah, it looks like it's the same exact detailing and same exact mold, except the painting. the painting is a night and day comparison. I think the finish on the paints for this guy, since it's matte, it makes the plastic feel a little more thinner, a little more lighter, whereas this feels a little more durable and a little more like an original manufacturer, but the painting falls off with this doing as well. So I don't really consider the feel of the plastic being cheap a drawback if the point of the figure is to display anyway. Turning now to the missile launcher. Man, this is like my favorite. This is my favorite right here. #1 accessory in my opinion. And this is actually the biggest, from what it looks like revision in terms of the paint job from the other accessories that they've gotten from the original. You've got nice green like missile, like the actual missiles are individually identifiable with the different green. You got the different like yellow rings on there, and then you got the same gold trims and like red trims consistent all around the base of the actual weapon. It's kind of the same as over here. Like if I were to bring this over, you can kind of see the pattern, right? You see you got the same gold here, you got the same like arched, or like it comes up and it moves over, and then you got the same little red piece at the bottom. So they kept the same consistency in terms of like which piece to paint and detail and to, I guess, stand out. But the real highlight, of course, is the actual missile launching itself. Even this right here, this piece, it is, I don't even think it's rubber. Like the original one had rubber. This actually feels like plastic, like thin plastic, so it doesn't bend. That's one of the main things I did not like at all about the original one. Here we got the original one here. This piece was rubber, so you can just bend it over, and what it would do is if like you have it like this for a while, it'll actually hold that, and then and it wouldn't completely straighten out, and then whenever you oppose him, he would look like it's kind of curving upwards, or it's not like straighten out like it should be, and I really hated that. My first MPM Starscream, the first one I got, it came in the box kind of like this, and I just tried to bend it over, I tried to straighten it out, I tried to use like hot water or like, you know, heat to like straighten it out. It just would not completely remain as is, whereas this one just completely destroys and obliterates the problem there. It just feels more like it would like hold up for a much longer time. But with the same hinge on this here, and same hinge on that as it was on the saw, it's night and day. So you see, you got this one kind of flopping around, and then you got this one that's not going anywhere. This is an example of the different changes they've made, and you know, with the quality and the paint of these two pieces. And last but not least, you have the little minigun weapon here. The little this thing is just beautiful. They've really paid close attention to the detailing, so they actually took the base of the minigun and they kind of brushed it out with all silver, and then they have like the same gray barrel, then they got the golden rings. Beautiful for the actual like barrels. That makes I mean, look at this, night and day comparison. The original MPM, they got the mold correctly, but they didn't really get the painting correctly, and you can see the difference there. And of course, I've been talking about the original MPM for some time, so now it's time to bring them in, and we're gonna show you what it looks like. So there you have the original MPM. I'm probably gonna, yep, I'm gonna be fighting with him to stand. This is kind of what I was talking about with like the standing up. This is the original MPM with the KO version, and you can see the same consistency with the paint difference. You can see how this one has the more lighter, and now that I'm looking at it, this one also has that gradient. So you can see you have that gradient, that the darker paint that kind of fades into the lighter paint. Same on this side, except they just darkened both of the shades. You can just see the differences. Like, you can see the detailing. I'll just show you like the first half. You've got this guy here and all the paintings here versus this guy in the plane. You can definitely see the difference. There you go. You got the sides of them. They are the same size and the same mold, and you can definitely see like the shoulders, and then turning them around to the back. I mean, look at this. So you can literally see the difference in, you know, the different painting. And then you come over here and you've got just the plain gray with some of the different painting schemes, but you can really see the difference here. Much better painting all around. I do notice that you've got like the little star emblem there, Whereas you have the star emblem there on the original MPM, and you have another one on this side, but they're not as detailed. On this side, it's kind of empty. So there is a few minor adjustments they've made in terms of not staying consistent with the original figure, but overall they've just repainted the main detailings. Even on the back of the legs, you can see the gold pieces there, whereas on this side you just have the normal gray. I mean, look at this! He's literally doing the Michael Jackson, like, smooth criminal lean forward, and he's not even falling over. Turning now to articulation, the head does go all the way around like so, and this is also on a stiff joint here. It does come up like so, and it does go back down. When you come up a little bit, you can drop the jaw, and of course his mouth opens just like it normally does. This is really beautiful. That gold on there really shows. I like that. So that's what they do there. The articulation is basically the same as the original NPM, but it's just much tighter. Arm comes all the way up like that. Forearm rotates all around like that. It comes back down. It can rotate all the way up. If you move the wing like a certain way, like if you get it around, you can get the arm around like that. You do have the little shoulder pads that can move like this, just like the original NPM. The elbow does bend like so, and comes up about 90 degrees, and then it does bend backwards like that, if you want to do that. The wrist rotates all around. You got the fingers that rotate. It's only one joint for the thumbs, and it's only one joint for the main fingers, but they are individually articulated. You can come around here. The legs do come all the way out like so, and then you can rotate the legs around. You can hear that ratchet joint really working in there. You can bring it back down. I think I might have to bring them around first and then bring it back down. Yep, and it does rotate like that. And then you've got, of course, the two joints here and then here, and then you can straighten them out again and then straighten them out again. The feet does have a pivot. Leg comes all the way up like that, and it goes all the way back like that. If I had to pick a drawback for this figure, however, I will say it's the application of the accessories. Putting them in and taking them off. Because of how stiff everything is and how tight everything is, I found it to be a challenge to actually apply them. It's the same principle as the MPM. Like, so you basically take the hand here, you fold it backwards. I like to put the fingers kind of like this, like that, and then you just kind of align it up like that, and then just make sure it's kind of straight like that. And then you would do like you normally do. You take this peg here, and then you plug it into that, and then this peg here plugs into the forearm. So you just kind of do one of these numbers. But I find that plugging it into this port is really more difficult, and getting it all aligned is kind of tricky. It's a little challenging. So I found that the best way to do it is to actually put this one in first on the forearm. So I just kind of force it in there, and once it's a little bit in there and you got this part hanging out, I just like try to maneuver it without breaking the plastic. You got to be careful, but I try to just somewhat maneuver it, and then the force from this being in will already like help put the rest in. Then you can just kind of align them back, and then there you have him with his beautiful saw weapon. I mean, that looks amazing. I can just imagine him like coming down from the sky, using that saw weapon, slicing up stuff, cars, and of course I will apply this here to this hand. So once again, I always put the top one in first. Here we go. I'll try to demo that here. Put the top one in, really kind of, and then you're gonna have to align the one for the fist. Yeah, see, it's a little, because it's so tight, it's a little challenging, but man, when you get it on, this is what you are working with. This is the kind of beauty that you're working with. You've got that beautiful missile launcher, and I mean, oh my god, it looks so good. And then I also found that removing it is a little bit of a challenge. Please don't be careful with trying not to break it, but I found that you have to do the kind of the backwards. And so once you got this piece detached, you kind of have to maneuver it out. Like, just kind of have to up and down, and then there you go. It comes out. I do kind of fear that doing that multiple times will cause some paint chipping on this little piece here, which I hope it doesn't do, because it's such a nice figure. And then, of course, the same principle applies with the little minigun. You just go ahead and put that in there. Just like that. There you go. You got the minigun, and that looks really, really nice. That is a beautiful touch. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. You know, that is the kind of Starscream that you want to display. And here we have the MPM-10 Starscream, fully transformed in the jet mode. And I gotta say, this thing is just gorgeous. From, like, just the overall appeal is really, really nice, and it really shows off the difference of what the paint job can do in terms of the display quality. Taking a closer look, here you go. You've got beautiful little rivets and detailings all across the figure. It's really, really nice. Of course, you got the cockpit there, and then you come all the way down, you got all the detailings, you got the nice gold rivets there, which is the same as the MPM, except that this one's a little darker. You got a nice little yellow painting on some of the detailings there. You got the little star emblem, really, really nice. Turn it around to the back, and this is basically what the underside looks like. Transformation is the exact same as the MPM Starscream, so yeah, there's no difference with it there. And to apply some of the weaponry on this guy is the same as with the MPM, of course, with the little minigun here, or Gatling gun, whatever you want to call it. There's a peg under here, and you just go ahead and peg that on that. And I personally think it's one of the best looks for him. It looks really nice. It really looks like it's a military jet headed into battle. I mean, that really looks really, really good, especially with the new painting on there. And of course, the two tabs, you got a tab under here, and you got a little port under there, and then you can, of course, if you want to, you can tab in one of the weapons here. I think I'm gonna just put it on this one here. There you go. Personally, I love that. I personally love that. Some people may not. I love it. And of course, to attach this one here, you can go ahead and peg that there. I don't think attaching the saw looks good, because that's a robot weapon. That's a weapon that a robot would use to physically melee fight. I mean, it still looks good. It still looks very military-like, and it looks very menacing. But that doesn't really make sense for air combat. There's nothing you can do unless he's like side-swiping another jet and using that, and that's just not very practical. We haven't seen him use that, and jets really don't do that. So for the sake of, you know, the disguise element, I think you can still get away with it with that, because you know, jets do have military missiles attached sometimes, and then of course this would make sense for the firing, but this to me I think wouldn't. So if you wanted to only display it with this one, it would look good, but then it wouldn't be symmetrical, and then you would have this guy, but then it wouldn't be practical. And here you have the MPM version and the MPM-KO version. Now, as you can see, the main difference off the top will be the darker paint and the lighter paint, consistent with the actual robot mode. But what you can also notice is that the cockpit, this has a darker orange translucent plastic. This one has a brighter translucent plastic. The actual cockpit and the little details on the inside is black, and on this side it's all like unpainted, so it's all white. When you turn around, you really can see the difference here. So you look at the midsection here, so you still got the little darker strip here. This is not really a strip, but it's more of like a little splotch, like a longer splotch. You can see the difference there. This is painted as a kind of like a light blue, whereas on this side it is the white. And then on the gold rivets, the MPM actually has the stem of the gold right here, whereas on this side it just has the little rivets from left to right, not really going towards the back. I actually would have preferred them to continue that paint to this all the way down like that, kind of like how this one has it, but it doesn't really matter that much, because most of the other attention to details they've actually done. Now, if we turn to like the side of it, and you kind of see where all that kibble is, well, if you look on this one, you can see that most of it is unpainted. and it's gray, whereas here it's darker, more gunmetal. It looks like more mechanical pieces, more like military tactical pieces on there, and then this one just kind of looks plain, and it looks just like it's just a robot kibble. To me, I think it blends in a little bit better when they add the little detailings into it versus leaving them unpainted. They both look amazing. They both have a beautiful design element, but the KO version just has a better paint, more detailing, more attention to detailing with the paint job. And I just gotta say this before I conclude this. The transformation is pretty different in terms of experience for these two figures. When it comes to the MPM, I noticed that because a lot of the pieces are loose and they're not as stiff, they're not as they're kind of easy to maneuver, and then they're kind of loose. They're kind of like floppy, as you kind of saw. To actually complete the transformation on this guy, it takes more finicky work. It takes more like snapping this together and making sure everything is aligned and pushing pieces in together and tabs together. It takes a lot of like very intricate work. It takes a lot of fooling around with it, basically, to get it to stay. Basically, just to get it to stay. I fought with this probably for, I don't know, a few minutes, and it shouldn't be that way. Of course, it is that way because of the engineering, but I think the fact that all of the joints and the little, like, the little pieces are just not finely tuned and tight, it's just easy for things to snap out of place, and then you find yourself trying to get everything lined up, and it takes a little longer. That's just my experience. Whereas for this guy, because everything is super tight, super stiff, everything is difficult, and you almost feel like you're breaking the thing. But that's how it goes in order to turn in certain parts. But the advantage of that is when you do peg it in, and when you do get certain pieces where they need to go, because they're so tight and they're so well held together, they don't pop out as often as this one would. So you don't really mess around with this a lot. You don't have to do a lot of the finicking. It happens, because it's the same engineering, it's the same transformation process, but it's just better handling because this is more sturdy. And I'm literally saying that because that's been my experience. Literally, it's just been more sturdy. So overall, I gotta say, this is the better figure in my opinion. But that's just my experience, that's just my opinion. Some MPM KOs are not better than the original, but this one to me just happens to be. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed the insight. I really honestly like what Hasbro created, and without the engineering of Hasbro, we wouldn't have this guy. But I'm really happy that we've got an improvement, and it's cheaper. Gotta throw that in. It's cheaper than the MPM. Anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed watching this review as much as I enjoyed making it. Once again, big shout out and major thank you to Iacon Store for supporting me with this product. If you guys want to buy it, click the link in the description box below, and I'll have a link there for you to purchase it. Thank you guys for watching. This has been an episode of Teletraan Reviews, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Till all are one.